the best Kansas race of all time. I need a minute to rest. I need to rest. I need to process the information. I need to rest. Get this microphone out of the way. I need to rest. I mean, this race had everything. You want great racing? You got that. You want great strategy? You got that. You want a great finish? You got that. You want a punch in the face? You got that. Oh, wow. I'm sweating already. I don't care. What was this race? You know, for weeks, there was always something going on with NASCAR, and not in a negative way, in a negative way, I should say, whether it was issues with management, issues with finance and money, issues with the on-track product. This is what NASCAR needed. A phenomenal race from start to finish. What a race we had. But we gotta talk about what took place in the closing laps of the race. So during the closing laps of the race, you had Kyle Larson out in front, but he was getting chased down by Denny Hamlin. Hamlin had the faster car. You knew Larson was struggling. And coming down to the closing laps, it was fantastic racing. These two were all over each other. Hamlin on the back bumper, trying to do everything he can to get by Larson. And on the final lap, it was going to go right down to the wire. Off of turn number 2, Hamlin pushes Larson. Larson gets into the wall. Larson bounces off right in front of Hamlin's nose, gets sideways, smacks the outside wall. Hamlin goes on by to win at Kansas for his first win of 2023 in what is being perceived by many of the fans that watch this race in controversial fashion. So, what many people want to know, was this on purpose? Did Denny Hamlin race Kyle Larson dirty? I don't think so. Now, Hamlin, I will say, did kind of push Larson in the wall. He didn't hit Larson, but he did push him into the wall. Larson did bounce off the wall. He did bounce off the wall, and it almost like he kind of came out in front of Denny Hamlin. It wasn't like he wanted to. That's just how when he bounced off the car just, as a reaction, came out in front of Hamlin. Hamlin's nose is already there, so when Kyle comes down, Hamlin's nose is there. Larson gets sideways, goes into the wall. At least that's how I perceive it. I know a lot of the fans don't perceive it that way, but that's how I perceived it. But what a finish those closing laps were. And on top of that, we got a fight in the process. Noah Gragson, that dumbass coconut head style haircut, gets punched in the face by Ross Chastain. Yes, who would have thought? The person that goes out, finally someone that goes after Chastain outside of the track, outside of the cars. Chastain's the one that throws the first punch. Now, what are they fighting about? This incident took place earlier in the race between Gragson and Chastain, where Gragson, apparently Chastain did something to Gragson. Gragson retaliated back, sideswipes Chastain. But I was surprised. Of all people, it's Chastain that throws the punch. I mean, fair play, but no offense to the black guy in the middle there in the yellow shirt. I kind of wish he wasn't there because I really wanted Gragson to throw a punch back. At the same time, Gragson, you just don't look cool. First of all, you walked up to him and got punched. Second of all, dude, I can't get over this dude's haircut. You should have just kept your cap on, man. You should have kept the hat on. That's what you should have done. You should have kept this hat on. But the funniest part about this entire incident is not only Gregson's haircut, Larson's reaction. Because remember, last week, Larson got wrecked by Ross Chastain. Just listen.
Yeah, I wish we could see what was
He's like, interview.
I'm sorry, but the little chuckle that you know Larson was loving it. In his mind, he was like, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. That's what you get. Or like something along those lines. I don't know. But I know he was loving it. Oh, I'm so happy. I'm just so happy. Like, I know Bubba didn't win, but I'm so happy, man. Like, what a race. It was also awesome to see in those final laps to see how Hamlin was working over Larson. I mean, two of the best drivers in the grid worn out tires, lap traffic. You know, there were some moments with lap traffic, you know, and I think there was even a point in time late in the race where Hamlin was right there, and I think lap traffic played a role in this, and Hamlin lost so much ground, but was able to just get it all back and get right back up to Larson's bumper for that final lap. But those few laps were phenomenal between those two. How Hamlin was working over Larson. And yeah, I know I'm reiterating the same points, but great racing, great strategy, comers and goers, fantastic finish. What more could you want? What a finish. What a race. Again, this race had everything you wanted. There was so much that happened in this race. I think there was like 33, 34 lead changes, which for a mile and a half is outstanding. So many different race leaders, so many different contenders. I mean, there was great racing immediately from the start of it. Byron got loose off of turn 2, went down to the apron or had some type of tire issue. Then you had a 3-wide battle between Chastain, Larson, and Reddick. And Larson got spun out by Tyler Reddick to bring out the first caution. So Larson was already at the back foot trying to work his way up front. Byron had a roller coaster of the day trying to work his way back out front. So yeah, let's take a look at the unofficial results. So Denny Hamlin wins. Kyle Larson still brings home in second place. William Byron in third. Byron had a roller coaster day, like I said. Not only did he have that issue at the beginning of the race, but he also smacked the wall a couple times in stage number 1. And he had to really work his way back up towards the front and didn't get back into the lead until very late in the race, with just, I think, under 70 or 60 so laps to go. But still, great improvement or great recovery for William Byron. Bubba Wallace in 4th place. Bubba had a very fast race car. Bubba was always up there in the mix, in the top 5, led some laps, is in contention for the lead. I don't think he had a car to win the race, but he had a top 5 car, and he needed this, needed to bring home some solid points, got some stage points on top of that, because he's trying to fight his way into the playoffs. Comes home in 4th place. Very great run for Bubba Wallace in that 23 team. Ross Chastain in 5th. Chastain had a very eventful day because not only did he have issues with Gragson, he also had issues with Kyle Busch, and Kyle Busch was not too happy with Ross Chastain.
He wrecks everybody every week. Because I'm pissed because the race is asshole, and so I doored him twice down the backstretch like this is morning, boy. Love it.
Joe Logano in 6th place. Chase Elliott in 7th. Chase didn't have that good of a car, or at least at the very least he wasn't that much of a factor for majority of the race until late in stage number 3. He comes out of nowhere, takes the lead, puts on a really strong battle, holding off a hungry pack of cars, including drivers like Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin. If I'm going off the rails, that's just because so much happened in this race. I don't know where to begin. Like, the common thing that I'm going to be saying throughout this entire race is just beautiful, fantastic racing. This race was classic NASCAR. Anyways, Tyler Reddick comes home in 9th, Austin Dillon in 10th, Kevin Harvick, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Eric Almirola, AJ Allmendinger, Daniel Suarez in 15th, Ryan Blaney, Chris Buescher, Justin Haley, Brad Keselowski, and Corey LaJoie, the top 20. Eric Jones finished 21st after he spun earlier in the race. Josh Berry in 25th after he spun after being involved in a crash after having contact with Ty Gibbs on the back straightaway. Then you have Michael McDowell, Ryan Preece, Brendan Poole, Noah Gragson. He spun late in the race, finishes in 29th. So did Noah Harrison Byrne. He finished in 30th. Austin Cindric, Chase Briscoe, who had the entire wheel come off of his car, in 32nd. Josh Bilicki, Ty Gibbs, who also spun on the back straightaway. Now, he spun, didn't hit anything, but managed to make a nothing situation go completely horribly wrong when his right front tire completely just blew into shreds, finishes 34th. Kyle Busch, 35th, after a restart where he was basically just caught up in a jam session. He comes down, car was to his inside, slides to the inside wall, and crashes, comes home in 35th, which is very disappointing because Kyle Busch was one of the few Chevys, I know Larson finished second, but was one of the few Chevys early in the race that really showed a lot of speed. And Chris Rebel finishes 36th after he also spun by himself after trying to avoid Tyler Reddick, who got tight off of turn number 2, checked up. Bell wasn't anticipating it, spun by himself, smacked the inside wall out of the race in dead last. So yeah, this race, besides just from, again, this race just had fantastic racing. Like, there were battles all over, battles for the lead, 2-wide, 3-wide racing. There was a portion in time between Martin Truex Jr. and Denny Hamlin early in the race. I swear they swapped the lead like 2-3 times a lap. They were just all over each other. In the first half of the race, it was really the Toyotas. Like, they seemed unstoppable. All 6 of them, all 6 drivers, the 4 JGR cars and the 2 2311 cars, they were all in the top 6. Nobody seemed that they could even touch them. But then later on, you started to see the Hendrick drivers and Kyle Busch start to come to life. Kyle Larson was one of the first few Chevys to really start showing some speed, even after he spun on lap 4 or 5 in the race. If you did not enjoy this race, then you don't like NASCAR racing. You don't like racing in general if you didn't enjoy this race. This was so much more fun than the Miami Grand Prix. Holy hell. But yeah, going back to that final lap incident with Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson again, I look at it as a racing incident. Larson bounced off the wall, came out right in front of Denny Hamlin. I don't think Hamlin drove up and took out Kyle. I don't believe that, and I will never believe that. But if you look at the replay, from what I see, Larson hit the wall, bounced off right in front of Hamlin. Hamlin's nose was already there. So when Larson came back, contact between Hamlin's nose and Larson's bumper, that sent Larson sideways into the wall. At least, again, that's how I perceive it. I look at it as a hard racing incident. I don't think there was anything malicious about that. I hear a lot of drivers or a lot of people on social media that are saying this was like dirty racing, bad on the 11. I don't see it like that, me personally. Now let's talk about the incident with Ross Chastain and Noah Gragson again. Noah Gragson alluded this in his interview with MRN that no one confronts the guy. And I think that was something that a lot of people were wondering, because Chastain, he has been getting issues with so many drivers. Somebody's going to get him back. Well, it looked as though that Kyle Busch was going to be the driver to get back at Chastain, and he did. He gave him a little side swipe back. But Gragson, of all people, I was surprised by that. But again, how are you going to walk up to the driver and then get punched? Like, come on, Gragson. Like, first you get hit by Daniel Hemrick. Now you get hit by Ross Chastain. He does have one on Harrison Burton, but wow. Even when someone confronts Chastain still comes out on top. I mean, oh man. What would I give this race? I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. I'm going to give this is a 10. So what would I give this race? 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. I'm like Ty Dillinger, 10. That's what I'm going to give this race, a perfect 10. I don't know. This was the best Kansas race ever for a NASCAR race at Kansas. This was the best ever. Potential race of the year. I know there's still a lot of events left. We got the Coke 600 coming up. I'm so looking forward to that. But, I mean, I don't know I don't know how you could do it any better. I don't know what can you do to make this race better, or to make a race better than this. I don't know. I mean, it was just phenomenal racing. So many different leaders. This race was so good because you didn't know who was going to win. At first, it seemed as though, maybe it's Truex and Hamlin, but here comes Bubba Wallace. Here comes Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, William Byron, Kyle Busch. There was so many different drivers that was emerging as contenders that you really weren't comfortable on a driver that was going to win. Really, up until the final lap, you still really didn't know who was going to win this race. I mean, yeah, you knew it was going to come down between Hamlin and Larson, but you weren't sure who was going to come out on top. And wow, this is something that NASCAR needed. NASCAR has always been under some type of controversy in recent weeks. This is what NASCAR needed. Beautiful race, fantastic racing. Everybody leaves generally happy in terms of what we saw as a racing product. And wow, I'm so happy. That was a phenomenal race. 10 out of 10, race of the year. I don't know if you could do any better. We'll see. Now, before I end this off, I got a question for y'all. Which next gen race is better, this race or last year's Coke 600? It's a tough one. I may have to give it to Kansas. I'm so happy. What a finish. Congratulations to Denny Hamlin. Again, I view this as a racing incident. I don't think there was anything more than that. I don't think it was anything malicious. I don't think Hamlin was trying to race dirty. I think it was just a racing incident. 2 drivers giving it everything they had to win the race. And yeah, wow. But thank y'all so much for watching. What are your thoughts on the race? Did you like it? Did you like it? Did you love it? Because if you didn't like it, if you didn't like it because Larson got wrecked out or anything that happened to your driver, understandable. But if you didn't like it because the racing was bad, then please unsubscribe and leave this video because you are smoking crack. But if you enjoyed the racing product, did you like it or did you love it? Because I sure as hell loved it. Thank y'all so much for watching. Congratulations to Denny Hamlin, your winner at Kansas.